logs from the canyon and homemade square nails. So this home was built before Oak City was even settled. My father farmed, growing alfalfa, grain, and corn, and grapes. He had many acres of fruit orchards. He also owned cattle, pigs, sheep, goats, chickens, and horses, and also had a mine out in Wild Horse Canyon and Coal Creek. As a young boy, we had fast and testimony meeting in our home, which we were grateful for. Since my dad was a bishop, we had it in our home, and we had many general authorities come from Salt Lake down to southern Utah, and they'd stop at our home and share a meal with us and stay the night. Oftentimes I enjoyed hearing their testimonies and feeling their spirit when they came through and stayed with us, as well as the testimonies of the saints here in Oak City. I was grateful to hear of their testimonies. That was a faith promoting experience for me. Some interesting things that happened was we had Indians come to church quite frequently, and the most prominent one that came to church was named Hunka. Not sure why his name was that, but that's what his name was. That's what everyone called him. And one time in my youth, my brother Elmer and I, we were down out west of Oak City here gathering firewood. We were trying to lift this heavy log up on the wagon, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw an Indian with a rifle coming towards us. And through my mind, it started racing. I began to think of all the horror stories of Indians and what they could do. But as he came closer, he put his gun down and helped set the log on the wagon for us, and took his gun and left. His name was Charlie. Our father taught us to work hard, and we worked by his side in the fields from a young age. But we also had time to play throughout the week with our friends. One of our most favorite games was called Run Sheep Run, and also there was a dance every Friday night that we'd get done with our chores early, and we'd gather and have a dance, an Oak City dance. Holidays were a great time in Oak City. We would do a lot of fun things, visit neighbors and relatives. Us boys would have shooting matches and boxing contests. I won the shooting contest once, and my prize was a pound of peanuts. So I passed them around the crowd and shared them with everyone. I really enjoyed school, especially reading and grammar were my favorite subjects. Spelling came very easy to me. I was one of the shortest in my class and therefore earned the nickname Pee-wee. But when I was 16, I started to grow like Jack's beanstalk until I was 6 feet tall. So I lost that nickname, thankfully. I was elected as our Deacon's Quorum president in the ward. My friends elected me, and my father was the bishop, and I didn't think maybe that was the best thing since he was already the bishop. And so he tried to have the boys reconsider of someone else that they could call on, but they persisted and wanted me to be the president. Some of our duties were to gather fast offerings, chop wood for widows and the church house for church meetings, and then as well as clean the church for church services. My friends and I also organized a club, which we called the Sunflower Club. We put on a play each winter within this club, and everyone in town enjoyed coming to our plays, and even from surrounding communities. We charged admission and donated the money to the town to improve it. Once we raised $200 and donated it, and the town bought a new piano for the new town hall that was built. Had the opportunity to serve a mission for the church and served in California San Francisco mission. I had many wonderful mission experiences, a couple of which were being at mission conferences with apostles and with Prophet Joseph F. Smith. That was a very unique and great experience for me. Another highlight was that we also met and baptized the Hegasy family, whose friendship I thoroughly enjoyed throughout my life.
So we were married for time and all eternity in the Salt Lake Temple May 31st, 1960. So for those of you that weren't here at first, I grew up in California. So I was quite the city girl. And our first home was actually a granary. That was a little different than I was used to. George had filed a homestead entry on some land they called Taylor's Flat, which is 8 to 9 miles northwest of Oak City. So the Homestead Act is a law that gave farmers that signed some papers 160 acres if they would live on that land and prove it for 5 years. Then, so I was used to living in large cities, and then now we weren't even close to a town at all. Nobody around. I tried to make the best out of it. I tried to make that granary a home, but I decided that Taylor's Flat was a forsaken place. So we decided that Elmer, George's brother, would finish proving on the land and we would move back to Oak City, or to Oak City, to work on the Oak City farm. And I was so happy to be close to people again. I had never even seen the small town of Oak City until I was a new bride, and I had mixed feelings about it when I found that everything was so unfamiliar and strange. Everyone was very closely related, and there were traditions that I had never even seen before. I often felt like I didn't belong and wasn't accepted, but I squared up my shoulders and raised my chin and decided that I'd make the best of the conditions, as I had always learned to do in the past. I still did miss the city a great deal and longed for it often. In 1919, we started to build a new house, and it's that picture here. It's kind of turned. This is a drawing of it. And Mason, do you want to say?
So it's located just on the corner of the park, just north of the post office, right there on the.
Oh, so it's not Bruce's house.
On the east corner.
It's not Bruce's. Bruce, sure.
No.
It's the one near my
It's the one just.
Two houses down.
Yeah, 2 houses down from the post office.
On the corner.
On the
On
corner.
the
What
corner.
color is it? Green,
It's
right?
white with the green roof right
Didn't
now.
your dad buy it?
Yes. Yep. So it's still in the family. So I worked right alongside my husband as we built it, with the construction workers, and I nailed many of the lasts into place myself. We had 2 children at the time, so all 3 of us were there to help. It was so good to have a home of our own and one that we had built ourselves. And I was really excited to be able to work in the yard as well. In mid-January of 1926, electricity finally came to town, and we were so glad. I could see so much better to cook and to clean, and all of us could see so much better to study and to read. Our telephone was LSSS 13. Long, short, short, short. We were on a party line with 48 other families. So when anybody's phone rang, everybody's phone rang. So we had to listen very carefully to know who they were trying to get a hold of. I died on April 13th, 1961, on my 68th birthday. Adele was the 3rd child of 4 children. Her children spoke very highly of her in saying that she loved music, had a very strong alto voice. She could play the piano very well. She also enjoyed art, learning, and beauty in the yards. She would read to her children a lot. Mom was quite a refined lady. Mom could compose poetry, and I loved to hear her make up stories. She would work our names in stories, and they would go on and on. Mom also loved new clothes. She was a very neat dresser, and Dad enjoyed buying her a new outfit when they could afford it, whenever they went to Salt Lake City, and it was complete with a hat. He was very proud of her beauty. She was also quite the jokester. She loved April Fool's Day, and when you would leave the house and get a ways down, she would call you back and say, "How far do you think you'd be if I hadn't called you back?" Her only living child is Meredith Lovell, who is my grandmother, and so that makes Adele my great-grandmother. So this is my grandparents' wedding picture. This is Austin and Meredith, and then this is Adele and George. Adele leaves behind a rich legacy of faith, love for one's fellow man, patience, forbearance through trial and pain, and serene and secure knowledge that these things are worth striving for. Her strong testimony is a beacon of light to safely guide her posterity to the shores in the hereafter. And at the first we talked about that Adele was a convert to the church, and because of that her parents got divorced because her dad wanted nothing to do with the church. But later, after he passed away, he came to some of his children in a dream and said it was portrayed that he had accepted the gospel, and he was later sealed to his wife and kids.
So she never got remarried then? Neither one of them got remarried?
So her, Adele's mom, she did get remarried.
But the dad didn't get remarried?
But the dad never got remarried. I don't think so.
So after George was married, I enlisted in World War I, but it ended before I had to leave overseas. I also served on the town board with 3 other men and homesteaded Taylor's Flat, as was mentioned, and then later moved back into town. After Adele passed away, I married Sarah Curtis Christensen of Richfield on the 29th of March 1963, and she died March 13th, 1968. And just some thoughts from his children. Says that Dad was a hardworking man. He was tremendously proud of his farm, community, and the mountains. He loved the 3 of them. He also loved a good horse. He worked in the town government, the Cattlemen Association, helped build and commission pipe water and irrigation. Dad also loved to sing. And his children are Beth, Elvin, Norda, Junius, Laurel, and Meredith. So, that's us.
Thanks for coming to talk with us.